that again from CLG. Feels like a little bit of a flub.
It does, and it's tough because on the play side, CLG were being very proactive, playing really clean. The overall play was very good. It's just that they couldn't do much with what they're giving themselves.
Yeah, I actually think that they played well that game. I think that the draft was really the problem, and I'm not one of the analysts that usually goes to that kind of thing. I very rarely think draft was the reason. This one, to me, really stuck out, though. And I think that's a bit tough for them. But they can take away that they played well, come back, get a more complete draft, and look to challenge TSM in Game 2.
Let's see what happens here then. Draft for Game 2 is already underway. LeBlanc and Rise bend out for CLG. TSM take out Varus, so we're happy to get it first pick in Game 1. Do not want to give the same honors over to CLG here, as Shen also banned away for TSM. So a lot of the common champions are still banned, despite the metagame being open, are being seen here, as Camille for CLG.
Yeah, CLG's red side, blue side bans, both the same so far. Will Soraka get taken off the table now? Because Soraka or Malzahar has to be left open because TSM is banning out Varus. That is kind of the change there. So Afro may be able to grab one of those that was picked up, and it's actually Graves. So quite a few changes then.
Yeah, I mean, Graves certainly a strong jungler. I think
Rengar's left up.
Yeah,
this is what they're doing.
I mean, they're happy to give it to him. They're also happy if they get it.
I think it's tough now because CLG, like, they don't want to give Rengar over to Svenskeren. But do you really want to take it? They just have never once done well with the pick. They have won some games, but it's always felt more in spite of the pick than because of the pick. So I think this is a tough situation now, and they're going to lock it in. We'll see if Smithy can have his first good performance on it.
And so this is normally a trade that, you know, it looks decent. Rengar, pretty good champion, but could be happy on the red side to trade 2 picks. Feels even better for TSM in this situation because of the information they have and that everyone has really about Smithy's recent Rengar performance.
And there's a reason that every team leaves Rengar open against CLG blue side, right? The teams, we are not the only ones who think this. Their opponents obviously are feeling the same thing. And TSM will have their pick of the litter, going to be able to grab up whether they want Jhin or the Ashe, and they do go for that Ashe.
They do. Turtle playing a lot of it, especially over Jhin. Feels like TSM or maybe Turtle himself, or likely a combination. Kind of fancy those. We'll see where Sven goes maybe for a jungle pick here, wanting to react to the Rengar that he sees. Haven't seen Olaf in a little while, but certainly a perfectly good champion.
I mean, Meteos played yesterday and smashed the game on it. That was really the only one that they did win. He was able to take over. But Kha'Zix is certainly a strong pick. Yes, it has taken some nerfs, but so is Rengar. This is still a very even duel between the two junglers.
Well, a comfort pick for Sven at least, as Xmithie once again gonna just keep this one in the minds of everyone else, just in case. But 12 seconds for CLG to make this first pick here. Probably want to take the Jhin somewhere in here. Might want to take the Soraka, not get it banned away, but Malzahar open as well. And Styx, they might even go back to something a bit more comfortable. Looks like Ezreal is the first pick here.
And I think Ezreal is something that deals with tanks a lot better than the Jhin. So even if you do draft yourselves into something that is like a heavy AD composition, Ezreal can actually get to the point where you can start to deal with tanks a lot better than a Jhin, who really does struggle, especially with lethality builds.
Well, 12 seconds now for Kuhi to pick for his team. I think a lot to consider here for Counter Logic Gaming. Taking their time, making sure they think it all through, and blind pick Orianna actually. Kind of interesting with Syndra in particular open, but very solid champion.
I think Orianna is super solid, and I think even into something like Syndra, you can do fine. You just have to itemize a little bit more defensively. Also keep in mind that when the ball is on your character, you get the added resistances. You can also instantly activate the shield. So if played properly, you play a little bit more defensively with that ball, you build a little bit of MR, I think you can easily survive those kinds of all-ins and become a beast later on.
So is TSM wanting to mirror the pick here, or do they change it up? They will change it up here, picking Malzahar, completing their bottom lane for themselves. Pretty good at locking down these carries. Ezreal in particular is tough to catch, but a Flash Malzahar ulti can take him out, as there's a Lulu ban for TSM, so banning away the support counters now.
Exactly, and I wouldn't, even though Soraka's not like a Malzahar counter, no one seems to want to let Aphromoo have the Soraka back, so they may ban that away. Obviously, the more standard one would be the Misfortune, because both Misfortune and the Lulu get those added benefit of having their passive hit, which essentially does an extra bar of health on the Voidling.
Well, I wonder what CLG are banning here. I'm kind of expecting something like Syndra and Azir. Probably wanted to make this matchup better for Huhi. There's a Nautilus ban though, so very different direction, targeting a different solo laner on the TSM side.
Now they could try to ban TSM into a bit of a corner to try to be like, hey, we're going to take away the top laners if you don't, change up your bans and not ban out of support. There can be things like that. Or it can simply be them saying, well, Nautilus actually is just the best pushing tank right now, and we simply don't want to deal with it.
TSM now with their last ban. Do they stick to the supports? Do they not want to give Afro Soraka? They don't want to give him Karma is apparently the answer.
Yeah, I mean, Soraka isn't necessarily good into this lane or anything, but I just think that in general, people have been targeting that pick so much from Afro, and now he will have the ability to go forward if he does elect to do so. Obviously, as I said, MF is going to be on the table. Lots of options there. They're taking the tanks down. A little bit of a laugh from Hanzo there as Malphite gets banned out.
So I wonder if they
might be trying to get Poppy to be picked here and then try to do something into that.
Yeah, potentially counter pick. Darshan does look a little more comfortable on carries, though I think he's good on both. Instead, TSM happy to give onto the counter pick potentially.
This is actually kind of funny to me, you know, talking about demanding more resources, demanding more picks. I always feel like in the past, this would have been a TSM last pick mid lane. They almost always left Bjergsen's pick for last, no matter what the situation was, because he is the franchise player. He's the one who's going to carry. And in this situation, they're giving that priority over to Hanzo. You know, they already see Orion on the table, so Bjergsen says, hey, you know what? I'll just lock in mine. You can make sure that you don't get countered.
Yep, I think it's a good draft decision from TSM, but certainly, like, as far as the organization, like the history and philosophy goes, that is interesting to see Hanzo certainly stepping up as far as individual play goes, and he has very high ambitions for himself. Renekton over Darshan, second time today, at least on this stream. Not sure what's happening over in the Battle Theater. And Afromu, hey, just put the emphasis on the back end of the name here. I mean, we always joke about it, he's very good on range supports, but there's just something about a CLG that need a little bit more. Afro almost always goes to a playmaker when the going gets tough, and there's Alistar.
There it is, and this is actually, there's pretty interesting interactions between Alistar and Malzahar. This is once again a lane that's going to get shoved in and should kind of get blasted with that, but so you say, okay, well, Spell Shield, you can't combo this guy, but you actually do the Headbutt Pulverize, and the Spell Shield is actually removed by the Headbutt, so the Pulverize, the knockup, still does go through when you do the combo. And that is very easy to execute. You just simply don't combo it. You press your W and then you press your Q as you arrive, and it's pretty nice. It works out quite well.
Well, there's the last pick. It is Hanzo's Poppy, the expected pick, but again, TSM giving maximum information to Hanzo to make sure he was comfortable with this lane. Bjergsen happy to blind pick his matchup because he already sees the Ori, and TSM again end up with a pretty good draft. CLG, this definitely feels like some vintage CLG. Stick stay on a big carry, Afro on a big playmaker, and the rest of his team should be able to facilitate a lot of these team fights very well.
So many ways to deliver the ball for Huhi. There's Afro move flying in, there's the Rengar ult, there's Darshan dashing in. There's so many opportunities for him to get that ball delivered to the carries. And these are some relatively low mobility carries in the Syndra, in the Ashe. You know, these are not guys with dash, even the Malzahar and stuff. You can look for CLG to make plays. Their team fight is going to be terrifying. Where I think they have to worry is A, does Smithy finally show up on the Rengar? And B, can they survive the bot lane laning phase? They struggled hard last game, and they should again, unless CLG can execute an all-in or again.
Well, certainly a great game from Turtle and Bifrost in the first. So we'll see what happens here in game number 2. TSM picking themselves pretty standard, kind of taking a lot of the elements they had last game. Bjergsen will revisit Syndra actually for this game. CLG changing tactics up a bit. You know, they said we wanted to be more proactive last game. They were as far as play goes, but the comp didn't fit it. Now they say, fine, if that's our playstyle, we'll draft it to almost the extreme and see what happens here.
Yeah, I can't even remember the last time I saw Alistar. I'm honestly thinking back to like Mata playing it at MSI or something, like, our Worlds, or like, I mean, forever ago.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Certainly this year in NA, we haven't seen an Alistar.
Yeah.
So everyone is going to bring out yet another new support.
The Alistar, ever since the Alistar rework, we haven't really seen it at all. I mean, they removed the heal off of Alistar's E and put it into his passive, basically. So it's like you have this situation where you can no longer just kind of avoid these bad matchups by going heal first and just playing passively and healing through, right? And then looking for an all-in later. So it's much more difficult, but you do have this trample passive where you stand on top of them with your trample, it stacks up, and then you can auto-attack them to get that stun. So it does have a lot of CC still.
Yeah, certainly Afro can make the plays, particularly with Huhi by his side once they get some ultimates ready. Well, again, everyone just fanning out here at level 1 as we are back out onto the Rift for our second round between TSM and CLG. CLG played well, but just put themselves in a little too tough of a position. Ward doesn't go down though. Darshan is going to ward up the Raptor camp here. This Hanzo's going to roam down on Poppy just to make sure nothing funny is happening from CLG. Did see more of an invade last game, but this game is much more standard at level 1.
Yeah, and you can't go too crazy every single game, but mixing those wacky all-ins and kind of paths and stuff at level 1, I think is good. It keeps the other teams guessing.
Other than that, TSM also have this Raptor camp ordered out. It's been a very common start for junglers, particularly with help. Looks like who he's going to roam over, make sure he gets some AoE down onto the Raptors.
Afro might even just give him a Q here. Just come in, throw that Q up. You have the Q from the Orianna as well. So the next one coming up from Smithy clears that out very easily. So he gets a very good leash. And Poppy as well, and Syndra, both of those have great AoE leash. So ability to do that. You can't insta double spawn though, so he can actually walk through there a lot more easily than you would have been able to in the old patch. So it didn't actually amount to really much. And using both charges of the Voidlings there from Biofrost didn't pay off hardly at all. And now he has no really implied threat whatsoever. So this could let CLG push a little bit more heavily since he has no spells.
Nice little trade there. Bjergsen hits level 2 and instantly throws a minion towards Huhi. Huhi though, just going to eat a biscuit and try and play safe. This is a little tough for Ori.
Yeah.
It's pushed in pretty easily by Syndra, and there's so much threat in the early game.
Yeah, there definitely is, and there's always going to be, and especially once he hits the level 6, the threat of the all-in is very big. Biofrost not quite level 2 because he did come to lane a little bit late, you have to remember. So it doesn't actually get level 2 at that time.
Turtle though, again, getting the lane pushed in. It's exactly how TSM played the lane in game 1. 2v2 looking to go well once again, and we'll see if Turtle can build up another big lead. 6A though certainly has shown up on Ezreal recently, and 6A and Afro should show up in teamfights if they can make it there without too much trouble.
That's the question, right? Ashe is going to have the push. Biofrost on the range support will be able to harass more heavily than Afro. But they're going to have great gank assist, and being able to set those ganks up can be pretty powerful if Smithy can make his way down here. And even when Smithy hits level 6, it's very hard to ward out those ganks because you can simply go for a lane gank and have Afro set that up for you.
That might be the real question. We always question Smithy's Rengar. Well, again, going to have a really big game here to kind of get CLG through. Looks to be a tough early game. Bjergsen level 4, good stun, procs the Thunderlords. Just hammering Huhi against his turret. Darshan, though, is off to a good start here. Further of battle. Buff seems to be helping Renekton, who is rising in popularity. And this isn't the tank matchup we saw last time when Hornsa was able to look pretty good once the lane developed. Darshan should have an edge for a number of minutes here in the 1v1.
Yeah, you would certainly expect so. Bjergsen still has a lot of his potions remaining, and Huhi has worked through all of his, so if he can continue to land that poke, it could be some trouble, as Svenskeren is sneaking around behind here.
Just looking for a stun. Ooh, that misses. Huhi probably has a very good idea of what was about to happen. Dodges it though, holds on to his summoners as well. And no jungle for Sven to take. He's going to go for a revisit here in mid lane and just immediately show Huhi caught a little far forward, forced a flash.
Yeah, both summoners down. Ghost as well. So it's a ghost out of Bjergsen, but that is it. They get the flash as the advantage. And that is nice. Again, the pressure coming to the mid lane here for Bjergsen.
Aggression again onto Aframu. Keeping him in his lane is also very important. You can see Biofrost and Turtle still harassing as much as they can, but Smithy and Sven gonna have a battle here.
He didn't get over the wall, he lands the bola.
Bjergsen here to protect him. Good flash by Sven.
Yeah, that is key, but still, Smithy fighting back, forcing out that summoner is important. Played that very well. Knows he has the edge there, and Svenskeren did not quite get over the wall, so the Empowered Bola gonna force that flash.
Both supports also roaming up here. Biofrost gonna spot one, making sure nothing else happened. A pretty classic from TSM. Sven moves aggressively to the enemy jungle with Bjergsen pushed up, but that one doesn't quite work out. As Hornsa finding back nicely here. Well, the Renekton is awfully tough in the early game.
He is. And, you know, Afro and 6A getting pushed in very heavily. So much damage being taken there, but Bjergsen in trouble.
Out of mana, flash forward from Xbithy, first blood to the Rengar.
Showing up big on the Rengar, forcing the jungle flash, coming to mid lane, getting that first blood. CLG needed this to have hope in this game, and they are looking good.
Chalk it up twice for Xmithy. That's his second first blood in as many games.
Yeah, and right out. No chance for Bjergsen to escape there. Smithy playing it properly. Bjergsen just walked too far up on the side that was not covered with any vision.
Yep. And being out of mana, not a whole lot he can do there. 6A cancels the recall from Turtle and actually might get aggressive. Biofrost zones them away. And Turtle just takes the farm instead.
And Afro can't really do too much besides run away as soon as that Malefic Visions does come down on him, which is always going to be frustrating. 6A down somewhat in farm, but it's not really that big of a deal for him at this point. He's certainly not in the kind of situation that he was in last game. He played very safe on the Ezreal and really kind of scale up.
Nice shockwave from Huhi. Catches Bjergsen for some harass. Thunderlord's procs from that auto. Bjergsen has to drink the potion right quick.
And remember, both of these mid laners have no summoners right now. So this could be more attention coming this way from Sven or from Smithy. I mean, Smithy, when he hits 6, he is going to have a lot of threat. And Svenskeren, maybe caught out in the river. He needs to come up. He's not making the move.
That's too much damage, but Bjergsen's here. Honeyfruit's going to keep Sven alive as he dodges around the ball.
They're going bot lane. They're looking for the kill bot lane.
Svenskeren also moving through the Scuttle Crab. They have the speed shrine there as well. And the bottom lane stays safe for TSM. Sven looks very aggressive there, but he has to walk so far around.
Yeah. Thankfully, Bjergsen wasn't able to push in the wave for him, so he's not going to lose much because of that. The big thing there, it seemed like CLG was on a different page. Who he wanted to clearly come down and collapse on Sven because Smithy was below it, but Smithy was actually looking to kill the bot lane who might come up to try to reinforce. So they were on a different page there. And as a result, they will just have to back off, but not a big deal on either side. No summoners blown. Not really an issue.
You can see Haunter teleports back to lane. He's about 10 CS behind right now. Darshan's going to walk his way back up, so we'll have teleport available for maybe a play in the bottom lane. CLG showed a lot of attention bot and mid in the last game, so maybe Darshan can use that to turn around a play.
And that would be Darshan's style, right? Always giving towards the team. Using that TP very rarely for lane. He almost always elects to save it. Even if he's losing waves, he almost always will look for the play. This is the kind of player he is.
Well, word from Haunter as he roams down after shoving the wave onto the blue buff of CLG. So with a pushing mid laner here, with the way Sven likes to play, maybe see TSM look for that blue buff, although it just spawns now, so timing's a bit off for that play. We can kind of see the remnants of that aggressive invade style that Sven had last year, backed by Bjergsen, backed by Haunter.
Definitely can. Smithy now is 6. They will have to keep that in mind as he can certainly look for ganks, especially in combination with Afro. If Afro and Smithy show up to a lane, it could be very difficult for anyone to get away. And he has some options here. I mean, he can go to a number of different places. And this was kind of what we were talking about in that earlier play. Smithy did want to go in. So he did actually force the flashes down there. I had not caught that, but yeah, forcing out those bot lane flashes. So he did get something for CLG that was off camera.
Looking good. First blood there for Smithy, up a little bit in CS, and still trying to apply pressure in these lanes. Darshan as well, playing so far up on Haunter. Haunter, ooh, tough to eat, renecting when he's empowered by Fury. Haunter doing a nice job absorbing right now, but does continue to get trickier, particularly once Renekton hits that Black Cleaver.
They may be looking for the dive here on top lane. Smithy and Hui are both making the roam up. They have been spotted by the ward. We'll see if Haunter backs off. If he does not, he may not be expecting this third member and could get corralled here. They're looking now.
Shockwave's there. Haunter needs to charge at the ulti. Doesn't get Darshan. Great flash! And now he's going to tie him under the turret. Hui's there, and Darshan gets the kill.
Really well executed, but TSM is going for the dragon. CLG will try to push for first turret here, and it will be a trade of gold for delayed power on that Infernal.
Well, easy Drake over to TSM, but a great play from CLG in the top lane. They get the kill into Haunter. Haunter preserves his flash, but CLG will give Darshan all the extra gold from the first turret as well. Renekton maybe starting to get some things snowballing here.
Yeah, he certainly could. I mean, when you can get to that early armor pen with the Black Cleaver, you can start to become very powerful. I will have to be a bit careful for a while, though. He is flashless and could be ganked.
Turtle going to push this wave in, but TSM's bottom lane, despite the fact they were doing well, I think a little scared after the attempt from Smithy, so having to play back more. That has given Stixxay room to not fall too far behind in CS. He's kind of kept it 10 or better all laning phase long.
And I mean, he will do better than the 10 down right now. So honestly, this kind of a deficit is totally fine for CLG's bot lane. They're not in anywhere near the kind of situation that they were last game, where they had to be ahead, and they're scaling well. They have a diverse damage profile. They are looking pretty good here because Afromo has the potential to be massive in the team fights, and getting that Alistar through the laning phase relatively unscathed is a very big win for them.
Yep, I like the early itemization for both Manamune, done for Ezreal, so he's going to be scaling up well. And the mobility boots for Afromo, knowing that he doesn't want to be in this lane. He didn't like it at all when he was in it, so he's going to try and
I don't like it, and I'm leaving.
Exactly. As long as Stixxay safe, that's fine. I'm going to try and gank probably Bjergsen at this stage, as Hui does get himself the blue buff.
And one of the things that I think a lot of us tend to overlook, as solo queue players and as things like this who play the game, is mobility boots are often purchased just because they're so good for roaming, for the warding even. Not just for making plays and things like that and for engages, but it's about moving around the map, clearing out vision, placing boards, and getting back to bot lane by the time you need to be there. So, that is something that there's so much more of an emphasis on warding in pro play. Smithy looking like maybe caught out.
Oh, actually maybe catch on the other side. Bifrost getting a little low. Xmithy still eating damage. Fitzgerald leaps in and gets it. Afro already pops his ultimate. Haunter slams him into a wall. Huhi trying to line up a big shockwave, but Toto gets caught by Darshan and taken down. TSM in disarray as Huhi is going to get snared up. The shockwave doesn't complete as Bjergsen takes down the Orianna. And now Darshan silenced Bjergsen. Just needs another stun. And Aframu, you could be walking into a kill. He does go down to the sphere. There's the stun to Darshan, and TSM get everything there.
4 kills for TSM as Smithy, pulling off his classic Rengar play, gets caught out there and does go down. And he's wandering in, no vision, no read on where the bot lane is, and Smithy is already gone. I mean, the fight starts and he's already dead. Afro has already expended his ultimate. He has to get out, and the hope for CLG here was a big shockwave from Huhi, but he's not able to get anything. He gets stunned up by Bjergsen. The flash shockwave is not even complete. Once he went down, it's a full bailout for CLG, but losing 4 there really stifles that momentum.
Tough for Aframu, just passed the wrong way. Walked into another free kill for Bjergsen. TSM did attempt to take the tower in the replay, but didn't get the mid-outer, so no extra conversion on the objective, but good chunk of gold brings the game pretty much back to even. That's exactly where TSM want to be. CLG, every play it seemed like it was working. That one does backfire.
Yeah, I mean, he's just wandering into an unwarded jungle without support there. You know, Afro was a bit behind him, but you need to be together as a team. The bot lane was missing. You don't know where the jungler is. It's not a safe play to make, even if you are in a pretty big position of power. And CLG are going to get punished for that, and we've been seeing it a lot, honestly, this weekend. You know, Dardoch notably kind of walking in over aggressively for these sorts of invades and getting caught out, and now Smithy.
Something that TSM are really good at not falling into is, you know, playing very safe. Sometimes too safe, you know. There's definitely something to be said about playing yourself, like playing not to lose, but TSM have been very clean. They really do take things clinically. And now another play getting started.
He's not even in that bush.
Oh, Smithy going to get taken down. And Garen going to try and go for the all-in himself. Almost gets him at 6-8 there to save him. Oh! Managed to take him down. Can't quite kill the Rengar.
And Darshan is here. Huhi has Shockwave. They can continue to chase if they want, but they will pull back.
Blast come back for Turtle. And Bjergsen dissuades any further aggression.
Smithy wasn't even standing in the bush. He was standing outside the bush there. Does get caught, but it was all the long con. He had it calculated, of course. As
Six there to help
to bail him out.
Works out well. Huhi, though, kind of getting zoned off here, and Bjergsen has a good track on this wave. Might be able to shove it down and take the turret there for TSM, but you can see Smithy just hanging out.
He's outside of the bush. He realizes as that does come in. But the W from Rengar here, reducing a lot of the damage that was taken, actually gives you that. And Sven, I feel like maybe could have just gone for an extra auto there. It felt like the movement he was doing was a bit unnecessary. Not sure if the last auto would have gone off or not. At best, it would have been a trade kill, but still. It is one going CLG's way on a play that looks like it would have worked out for TSM.
Yep. Once you can see, kind of bullying back a little more. Darshan does have his Black Cleaver, but Sunfire Cape for Haunter is the start of Poppy getting very frustrating to deal with.
Yeah, it certainly is. And Darshan is actually giving a lot of respect to the Poppy, the potential of the dive here. You know, he's down a level, actually. So even though he had that early advantage, got some help, he spends a lot of time roaming, and this is the downside of that, right? When you roam away, you miss out on experience, you miss out on minions, so even with 2 kills, he's down a couple CS, and thus is down some experience.
Afro actually towards the top side, I think wanting to be there for the counter ganks onto Sven's Garen. But Sven again just now moving down towards mid lane. TSM.
Well, they're looking for the dive on Huhi here.
Oh, they get it, but Shockwave's going to keep him out of the way. Silent Plans from
Rengar ult's on the side, he's looking.
No one to really go for. Bjergsen has everything available. And Malzahar ulti is not something you really want to leap into. So we plays it safe that time.
Yeah, both teams really were looking for a kill there because Infernal is spawning, right? The second Infernal is not something you want to give over easily to TSM. Darshan has his TP available, is pushing topside, but they would need to be ready for this play because TSM is already on it, and it looks like it might just be an easy second Infernal for TSM.
Aframu in the back, but he can't really steal it. Xmithy on the left side of the map. So Infernal just over to TSM, despite the fact that CLG even knew about it with the Scuttle Crab vision.
Yeah, I mean, Huhi was in base, the team wasn't there was no Rengar ultimate. They didn't feel like they could make the play happen, and sometimes you just have to cut your losses. This seemed like it was one of those cases.
Turtle continuing to push things out. Has a lot of components right now, but should be pretty quickly towards either Infinity Edge or Runa's Hurricane, whichever one he's deciding to go for first. Has a lot of early AD. We see this a decent amount, I guess, when Ashe was being played a lot more before. You want some sort of AD before your attack speed. Some people just want BF Sword. Turtle opting for an extra pickaxe as well.
Yeah, this is kind of the more like super old school build when
Yeah.
AD items first got reworked. People used to go BF pickaxe into Hurricane, and then they started doing just the BF sword and stuff more recently. You got a little bit AD. The build is fine. Obviously, it delays your item completion, but TSM is trying to force down this turret. They want to collect some of that standing gold.
Wave clear from Huhi, proving to be pretty good though. And he's got the Morello all finished up. Stalk shoes for both, and Bjergsen also has an accompanying Morello Nomicon to play with, so just a little wave clear back and forth. TSM not willing to take a risk just yet. Turtle is getting nice damage down to that turret there. Recall cancelled for Sven by an Essence Fox for Ezreal. But he's just going to walk back to the safety of his team. And again, TSM are happy to play this slow. Feel like they're confident in their mid to late game. Nothing's really out of control just yet. Nice stun there as Ondo. Huhi might be an all-in. That should be a kill. He flashes as well. Oy, Huhi doesn't look good.
No, that looks rough. I mean, the ultimate was already coming out. There was no reason for him to flash. I'm not really sure why Bjergsen flashed, to be honest. Bjergsen flashed backwards. I don't know if he saw a shockwave coming in and he was worried about it getting turned around on him or something. But he does use his own flash, so at least it is that trade for Huhi. But the clean solo kill for Bjergsen, and Huhi was just not ready for it. In these situations, you sometimes just have to be willing to flash that stun. And here it is. Let's see. No, it wasn't even a shockwave. There's just no reason for Bjergsen to actually flash there.
The fade away.
But style points, I guess. We'll give it to him.
I mean, he's got a lot of gold banked up as well. So, and he's 2 levels ahead of
He's
Huhi.
2 levels up. He's 3 kills up. He's 40 CS up. Bjergsen is massively ahead of Huhi this game.
There's a turret for TSM. In fact, they also got mid turret out of the deal. You can see almost 2,400 gold built up for Bjergsen. He's going to go back and spend it.
Yeah, and he is going to be very strong at that point. When he completes his Ludens, there's even more of that one-shot type potential onto Huhi. It's going to be really tough. His top lane is not really feeling like it's going their way anymore, and mid lane certainly isn't. Bot lane is kind of like doing their best, so a lot of it is going to be about the team fights for CLG. How much can they get out of the playmaking of Afromu and Huhi and Smithy, you know, on these high playmaking potential champions?
Yep, Luden's done now as well for Bjergsen, and Haunter 20 CS ahead of his lane as he just dipped out. Svenskeren continuing to apply pressure on the left-hand side of this jungle, get the wards done, make sure they have vision all covered. Baron will be spawning in a minute. I don't think Rift Herald is going to say hello to anyone today. Svenskeren will visit him, and that's all it is. It's just a visit. It's hard when the kids don't visit. Feels bad.
And the Scuttle was walking right by there. He just saw his child murdered in front of his eyes. Almost no one goes for Herald these days. It feels like it's pretty much just if you're winning so much, you're like, well, I guess there's nothing else for us to do. Time to go over to the Herald.
Well, Firefrost also joining the rest of his team. So looks like TSM again is going to play this methodically, take out the last outer turret, open up a big chunk of space for them to play with. There's no Drake for a few minutes, so don't have to really worry about that. Bjergsen just zipping over the speed shrine. Dashan going to get dove here.
Yeah, they're looking for it, but CLG is coming up, and the Rengar ultimate is there. Afro is coming.
Stun, but Afro might be able to turn around. Bjergsen low with a good ulti onto Xmithy. He's going to prevent him from diving in. Now Afro still taking damage. Turtle needs a few more shots. Not quite enough as the barrage from Ezreal. Going to get some stuff done.
Big shockwave.
3, but now he gets stunned instead. He's going to dive into him, and Svenskeren manages to pick it up. Haunter still going through as Afro's going to get caught down as well. TSM just turn it all around. 3 clean kills and a turret.
Yeah, they don't even lose one there. They're getting so much. 6A is pushing in the bot lane, but this is not anywhere close to worth it. TSM knew they could commit to that fight, even with the great shockwave from Huhi. There's too many threats that are getting taken down too early in the fight. Darshan already out of there. Then the Ezreal is nowhere to be seen. Afro is forced out. They know that they can continue this dive, and despite nice play here from Huhi, it's just not enough follow-up, right? Smithy, what is he going to do? Afro, what is he going to do? And the Ezreal's not there, so there's nothing to follow up that damage.
Clean stuff from TSM once again. 6A did get the trade, so 2 turrets to 3 now. Still in favor of TSM. Probably not massive, only 2,500, about 3K there for TSM, but 2 Infernals is going to add to the pain. TSM have done a great job controlling the overall map, and that's been the story of this series so far.
And Inferno really is the best snowballing dragon, especially when you have a lot of damage dealers. And You know, Bjergsen already very fed. Hitting that kind of one combo potential, when you hit that certain threshold, it becomes very hard to deal with, and the extra 16% AP can help you get over that threshold to where instead of the Ezreal just barely living, he now just dies every time, especially with the level lead that he has accrued for himself. So that is really the big concern, I think, is how effective is Hui going to be compared to Bjergsen.
Oh, there's another kill. Like Smithy gets blown up now. Hui's stunned up as well. Ephraim in the mix, but Darshan going to go in and get himself ulti. Svenskeren on the flank, and Haunter now disrupting on the shockwave on the one as Firefrost takes that Ephraim. There's a kill for Poppy as it takes down the Orianna. Darshan looking to go down as Turtle with a flash volley. Going to collect 4 more kills for TSM.
TSM's going to grab Baron off that as well. This game has just been blown apart as CLG cannot seem to match the aggression from TSM. They're setting up vision, they're executing the plays, they're always there as a team faster than CLG, it feels like this game, and despite the playmaking ability of a champion like Alistar, it never matters if your team is not in position to make use of it.
Stixxay running very far away from Bjergsen as there's the Baron buff over to TSM. Gold lead blowed wide open at 6,000, and this Baron buff should do significant damage.
And here it is, TSM there as a squad. Smithy wants to go in for the pick, but he does not really have the support to do so. And then Hui getting tagged by the arrow just means that, once again, they're losing their threats before they're proved up as a 5-man squad. CLG never has enough in the tank when the rest of the team arrives. Someone is already dead or completely pushed out of the fight, and TSM is just moving better and playing better as a team.
Getting break for themselves as well, continuing to stockpile these objectives. TSM getting almost everything. Don't quite steal the red buff, but Svenskeren just going to run down here. TSM going to start this push onto a tier 2 turret. They're going to start here in bottom lane. Shove down this tier. Shove down this turret.
They're looking to just continue to extend this gold lead, and with this advantage, how fed that Bjergsen is, if he hits a stun on anyone, they're going to die. There's pretty much no target except maybe Darshan that can't get like 100 to 0, I guess, Afro if he pops his ult. So it's a very dangerous situation for CLG where this could turn very quickly from a turret or two into a game ending or losing inhibitors very, very easily.
Really nice assignments here from TSM as well, making sure they cover for Haunter, who's getting some push going there, but now they immediately rotate down, take this turret as well. They've even got pressure top lane, I think, based on the Meaning Wave size. Yep. So TSM have got it all going. 3 lanes pushing with a Baron buff. Good stuff. Exactly.
I mean, and the way that they have it set up, it's a slow push top, so it will build up very heavily. They will pressure bot and mid, and then they will...
Oh, they hit Hui! Haunter going to go straight in there. Stun's going to land in for the AoE out of Bjergsen. He's unstoppable. Darshan falls as well as he gets himself a double. Smithy does assassinate Port Biofrost, but TSM will take the trade.
And I mean, who cares? TSM can walk right in. They lose their support, but it's not important at this point. They can take down the inhibitor. They have a massive wave topside. They can rotate up there and get even more. And their gold lead has ballooned so much with the Baron buff. Wild Turtle nails the stun. Bjergsen there for the follow-up. Easy kill, easy inhibitor.
Yep, 700 gold away from 10k up for TSM. So watch this one again. Just tower diving at this stage.
Yeah,
TSM is so far ahead.
If you land the stun, this is a free setup for Bjergsen, and then the ultimate coming in is so much overkill. He's like already dead. He's able to ultimate onto the Renekton and kill him off very quickly too. So that was like the tankiest member going down almost instantly.
Yeah, this turret's going to melt as well. TSM will find themselves 10,000 plus gold in the lead, and maybe even cracking another inhibitor. Looks like they're backing off for now. 50 seconds left on the Baron buff. Haunter gets his recall cancelled. It's probably the safest member to be out alone, given how tanky he is right now. And we'll just go back to base, and TSM will just charge down yet another lane.
Exactly, and the only point of kind of vulnerability you have is sometimes when you overstay with the Baron, you collect all this gold, but you haven't actually spent it yet. So the Infernal is spawning next. 3 Infernals almost seals the deal. They want to get that, but Biofrost is very far up here.
The shield goes off. He's actually going to keep moving back towards his team. Finally looking to try and flash, but he doesn't have it. Smithy goes down instead as TSM turn it all around. They save Biofrost. And now Svenskeren's looking for more. Darshan gets stunned. He's going down as he dives back into the team. Svenskeren able to pick him off as TSM just keeping the ball rolling. Turtle! Oh, Stixxay tries for the big play, but Sven shuts him down.
And forget the Infernal now. Haunter will just chase the Orianna. TSM will go for the end with 3 kills down. They will look to close out the series.
Hui ghosting away from the Poppy. but his Nexus turrets don't look so safe. Bjergsen flashes in, finds the stun, gets the W down, and they just pour it all into him. Afro move trying to kite it out and save his base, but he died through Unbreakable Will. TSM collect the ace, Nexus turrets to get a 4, and they complete a dominant sweep versus CLG.
Yeah, TSM makes it look easy. It was not the draft, it was the play, as TSM really outperformed their counterparts today, and will take down the Nexus here in Game 2.
So clean from TSM as they'll do their last bits of business. Haunter will hammer down the Nexus for the victory, and TSM looking revived after the break. On an upward trend, and that's going to keep continuing.
And Bjergsen, you give him the Syndra, 7-1 and 11. He was dominant. Yes, he got some ganks. Yes, he got some help, but he was crushing that lane and really did take over.
I mean, the synergy continues. We talked about Bjergsen. Bjergsen's consistently being one of the best players in the NALCS for a long time. He's a world-class player. Onside, talking about himself, he wants to build himself up and become a strong leader, one of the best top laners, period, not just here in NA. Probably a little disappointed with his international showings and really creating a foundation for himself, and a synergy we didn't expect with Double being in the team last year. Haunter just needed to do his job, and that was enough. Although he did have some carry games, Haunter knows that he needs to be a bigger presence in this team, and it's not Sven Bjergsen I'm excited about now, it's Haunter Bjergsen.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, Sven, though, to be fair to him,
I mean,
had an incredible game.
Also good.
Yeah, I mean, he was smashing on the Kazakhs. At the end of the day, though, Bjergsen puts out almost 22,000 damage. Next closest is actually the Kazakhs at 11,600. So more than doubling anyone on CLG as far as damage. Did about 4 times as much damage as who he did. Pretty rough. But once the Syndra gets going, Bjergsen, known for that champion, had been in the past perma-banned against him when it was more of that Syndra meta, and he brings it back and is able to perform big time.
I mean, Bjergsen, I'm doing some very quick math on air, which you should never do, but I'm pretty sure he did more damage than the top 3 members of CLG combined in like the top half of the map. So more than top, more than jungle, more than mid.
Very easily he did.
Yeah, so pretty insane stuff there from Bjergsen, who had an outstanding game on Syndra once again, but it just feels like it's all going right. Top half of the map looks incredible for TSM, and that's a time where if you have 3 good members in the top lane, you can win a lot of games, but also the bottom lane is looking good.
It really is. And CLG, they had a good start this game, but they could not convert. They could not keep the ball rolling. TSM felt unstoppable today.
Well, let's have a look at some highlights here from this game. We have one replay from this game to look over TSM. This was such a good dive.
Yeah, this was the dive, and this is just the story of the game. It's TSM to the play first, killing off Darshan while 6A is in the bot lane. Split pushing, Afro is already pushed out, Smithy is very low. There's not much chance of retaliation here, but CLG, desperate to hold on to this turret, do look for the turnaround, and great, that would have been a game-changing shockwave if your team is there, if your team can actually follow up. But no one who is still alive or on that side of the map was in a position to do so.
And it's just looking tough for CLG. I mean, they did play quite well today, but TSM straight up just played better. CLG received their first loss in 2 weeks.
Yeah, they had been on a roll, 4 wins in a row, 5 of their last 6. But TSM put a hard stop to that.
Yeah, and a team that's, you know, looking at Cloud9, who played already today, they'll play FlyQuest later on, and just saying, hey, we beat you last time we played. We're starting to threaten that #1 spot. Cloud9, if you want to hold on to your spot, you better keep winning, because TSM, they're going to do plenty of that.
Yeah, they're coming for him. And, you know, one bright thing for CLG today is at least Hotshot did not make another bet.
That's true.
You didn't have another bet, you know? There's something going for him.
Kind of disappointed, actually. I mean, I actually honestly believe Reginald's saying, I have some pity here. I don't want, like, I don't want to inflict that upon you.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Hotshot saying he wants the Reginald any. What's your Hotshot cosplay?
Hotshot in Italy, obviously.
Hotshot in Italy, yeah, okay, that's what I was going. That's what I was thinking.
Can you imagine that? That's what we could have gotten.
That's
what
we
happened.
Could have gotten with the TSM tattoo on the forehead.
Could be like we could like do a custom like TSM jersey or like costume for the cosplay. That would be great.
That would be fantastic.
Certainly would be well for a first-hand account on that win. Let's hand it over to Kobe and the TSM's bot lane.